live on some platforms because I did not press all the buttons. It's hard to press go live on three different phones at one time. So, good evening, everyone. All right, good evening. Thank you for joining me. If you're here for TikTok, if you're on TikTok, I am going to, let me just set up my light a little. Sorry, y'all. Bear with me here. If you're on TikTok, if y'all can only see how crazy my office is, set up like a studio with all these phones at the same time, and trying to get lighting and whatnot. But anyway, if y'all are on TikTok, I'm sorry that I have not been on for the past several days, but had things going on, so hope you can bear with me. I'm sorry I haven't been available, but I'm back, and so this is going to be a little different tonight. This is going to be a really short live. I'm looking crazy on YouTube. I don't know why. But this is going to be a really short live because I have a lot that I have to get done before midnight. Personal, I engage in a lot of personal development. So anyway, I am in I guess a think tank is the best way to put it. And I have some homework I have to do for that before midnight. So this is going to be short but sweet. Okay, let me just take there we go. I think I'm finally all adjusted on all three platforms. So we're live tonight on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Okay, please know that my primary platform is Facebook. So I know for y'all, I know I'm catching up with TikTok. But my goal is to be equal on all platforms. Okay, that's the goal, equal on all platforms. But for right now, there is probably a little bit more content on Facebook than there is on the rest of the platforms. And you can check me out on Facebook under Tish Tillis. Okay, so you can check me out on Facebook under Tish Tillis, where you might get a little bit more content at the moment than you might get on other platforms. Okay. Just like some people are heavy on Insta, Insta is probably my weakest platform right now, but I'm working on it. So if you normally do watch me on Insta, I'll be doing special things just for Insta. That's a whole different platform plan that I have for them. So right now we're just TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. That's what we're live on tonight. So tonight's going to be, like I said, a little different, and I have homework for you. So remember, two things I want to say in case you didn't catch an earlier live that I did today. Two things that I want to say are, number one, it does not matter if you have a period of time where life takes over. If you are on the road to success and you have a glitch, something happens and you're not live, you said, I'm going to be live every single day, and you missed some days and you're not live. Or you said, maybe you're doing some kind of workout plan. I'm going to walk with y'all live every single day, and you end up missing a day where you're not live and walking. Whatever the case, it does not matter. One of the worst things that people do in life is when they commit to, hi y'all, when they commit to doing something and something happens, life happens, and then they get embarrassed, they are ashamed, and then they quit and they stop. Oh no, I promised all of social media that I was going to do such and such, and then something happens and you can't do it, and now you feel like you're not consistent, you feel like you're a loser, you feel like you're a liar, all of these things. It's okay. Don't stop. That's the main thing. Don't stop. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Life happens to all of us. Okay. For example, I've had some life happening over here with me. I've been traveling for several days. My car completely died on me when I was 200 miles away from home. And, I had a roof leak on my brand new roof that went through, my bathroom. Life happens in my house, life happen, things happen. And, and I've been exhausted and overwhelmed. And, I was discouraged for a couple days. That happens to the best of us. It happens to anybody. I don't care how successful you are in life, you still are a human. You still go through human experiences with your kids, with your life, your finances, your home, your whatever, your husband, your wife, whatever the case. You go through a human experience no matter how successful you are. And that's okay. The important thing that distinguishes people who are successful from people who are not successful is the successful people, when they go through a human experience or a glitch or whatever, they give themselves grace and they keep on going like nothing happened. They just keep on going. It's not even an option. They don't even think about failure or stopping or being embarrassed or whatever. It just is. This happened. I had to go take care of it. Now I'm back and I'm going, full court, full press now from this point on. And they just go on and they don't make any, apologies or anything else for it. So don't, it's whether you're a student, I don't care if you're a student, I don't care if it's with your kids, I don't care if it's with your job, whatever, you're going to make mistakes. Nobody is born perfect. Nobody, on the road to success has already been successful. So it's a learning curve and things are going to happen. And even when you become successful, and I'm speaking in positive, affirmative tones, when you become successful, even when you become successful, there are going to be situations. There just are. There's going to be things that come up and you just handle them. And as time goes on, hopefully you become more adept at handling whatever it is, um and you go on. So anyway, that's number one. Okay, and number two, I want you to understand, if you want to be successful, truly, if you're serious about being successful, like some of you just watch me and you enjoy listening, and you're putting it in the back of your head, and at some time in the future you'll be ready to watch my lives again, and you'll be ready to go hard and do the things and all that. But right now you're just watching, you're just interested, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for those of you who are prepared at this time, you're at a point in your life where you're really ready to be successful and to take that next step in whatever it is. Remember, it doesn't have to be money related. It could be relationship. It could be school. It could be, being a mom. It could be all kinds of things on your job, your career. If you are ready to be successful, there's going to be some work that needs to go into it. You're just going to have to put work into it. Nobody just stumbles on, oh, I stumbled and now I got up and now I'm successful. It doesn't work that way. You have to put in the time, you have to read the books, you have to work on your mindset. That's the most important thing. If your mindset isn't right and you're not working on your mindset, then don't bother trying to be successful, because it's going to be a hindrance. How you think, how you see things, how you perceive things is extremely important in relationship to whether or not you are going to be successful. I mean, these are just facts. It's true. So you're going to have to put in some work, duh. And if you're not ready to read the books, if you're not ready to put in the work and the hours and to work on it, then, my best suggestion would be just wait until you are. Don't even bother, because you're just wasting your own time. If you're not going to follow through, you're just wasting your own time. So, uh, that being said, I spend a lot of time. Y'all have no idea. You see me maybe for an hour or less in a live daily, or several times a week. But I am constantly working. I'm working on my business. I'm working on businesses. I'm working on myself. I am a wife. I am a mother. I have so many things that I do from sunup to sundown. So I'm going to, I compiled some things for you to give to you tonight. Now, I'll do a post on some of these things, and I'm trying to think. I will probably put the post if you want to read a physical copy of what I am about to give you. You can either do two things. You can replay this live over again, and you can pause and write. I suggest that you get a notebook. If you don't already have several notebooks, get a notebook if you're serious about success and call it something like My Success Notebook, and take notes. Go over my lives and take notes, and have a notebook for the books that you're going to read to invest in yourself. Have a notebook for everything, so that, and you need to write it out, right? Because that helps the memory, and trains the mind. You need to have a notebook for everything. And it's also very good for tracking how far you've grown. So if you want to see what I'm about to say written out, you can check it out on Facebook. I'll do a post on Facebook. I may or may not do a post on YouTube. Probably will. I'll do a post on YouTube. Um, I'm sorry, TikTok isn't really the space for me to like post a long written out thing, but you can go to one of my other pages. So on Facebook, I'm under Tish Tillis. Okay, on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, believe I'm under Texan Tish Tillis. Okay, so if you want to catch me on Facebook and you want to see the post, I'm under Tish Tillis, and I will write out what I'm about to say now. But this is homework, okay? So homework is an essential part of growth. You got to do homework. You have to study, you have to invest in yourself. That means you have to slowly shift, and it takes time. Like if you watch TV on your free time, it takes time to train yourself to never watch TV, and to instead spend that time listening to motivational speakers, or reading books, or doing homework like this. Self-improvement, to spend your time on self-improvement. So the main thing is a conversion from spending your time doing nothing of importance to being very intentional with every minute of the day. And that takes time. You have to train yourself to become intentional with every minute of the day. And that's how successful people get so much done in one day. If you talk to somebody who's very successful, or you hear their schedule, and a lot of them will give you a general outline of their schedule, you will find out that successful people get so much done in a day. It's incredible. And that's because they're very intentional with their time. They're not spending their time on the phone, gossiping. They're not spending their time talking to people about other people, right? Okay. And they're not spending their time watching TV. They're not playing video games. They're not doing a lot of the things that people who are not successful are doing all day or with their free time. They're not just laying around in bed all morning long until the afternoon. They're not going to bed at 5 p.m. But if they stay up late, it's doing something very intentional. So they have their day very well scheduled. That's like a really big deal. Schedule is a game changer for your life. If you want to be successful, you need to have a really tight schedule. All right, so I need to get off of here, so we're going to jump into it. Hopefully you have a pen and paper and you can write this stuff down. Okay, or if not, like I said, you can go on Facebook tomorrow at some point. I will do a post with everything that I am about to read to you. Okay, so number one, we're going to talk about rewiring limiting beliefs. Rewiring limiting beliefs. So, what does that mean? What does that look like to rewire a limiting belief? that means there's something in your mind regarding something or many things that is limited. Okay, so maybe it came from when you were little. Maybe somebody told you you were ugly. Maybe somebody very important to you told you that you were ugly. Maybe it was your mother, maybe it was your father, maybe it was the neighborhood kids. I don't know. So, this is an example, okay? So, maybe somebody told you when you were little that you were ugly, or they told you on a very important, day to you that your outfit that you were so proud of was ugly, and now you feel ugly. Whatever, let's just say you feel ugly. And so, that is a limiting belief that I've known people who have been told that as children, and that follows them into adulthood. And no matter what they look like as adults, in the back of their mind, they feel ugly. And it doesn't matter how many people tell them that they're pretty, they think they're ugly because of what they were told when they were younger, and it became a limiting belief. So that's an example of a limiting belief. So I want you to identify a limiting belief that you have. You might have a limiting belief that you're smart. You might feel like, wow, I see other people talk and I hear other people the way they think, and I don't think like that. So I must be stupid. Or somebody called you stupid, like Forrest Gump when you were a little kid, right? And sorry. Okay. And so, anyway, you feel that you're stupid. Well, here's a news flash: nobody's stupid. Nobody's stupid. Some people just have to work a little bit harder at things. Nobody is stupid. There is nothing on this earth outside of maybe, I don't know, molecular chemistry or something, or physics, that people can't get, the average person cannot get. You can understand anything. You can be successful at anything. You might just have to work a little bit harder. Like, I'm not a math person, but guess what? I need math in my daily life. So I had to work really hard to understand a certain level of math because I'm in business and I have to handle my business properly. And I have to know when somebody tells me something that's not accurate when it comes to mathematical equations. And so it's something I have to work really hard at. Doesn't mean I'm stupid. It just means that's not my area of expertise. I have to work hard at it. Okay, so same thing with you. There's nothing that you can't do. You're not stupid, but you may have to work harder at certain things. Does that make sense? Certain things you may have to work a little bit harder at. So, but if you think that you're not smart, that would be considered a limiting belief. So I think we've got that down. Okay, I want you to identify at least one limiting belief that you say often to yourself. Some of us do not pay attention to what our self talk is in our head because it's constantly going on, right? Your self talk is constantly going on in your head. And some of us are not paying attention to what our self talk is. And that's really important. What is going on inside your head? What is the story that you're constantly telling yourself? What is it? Because that's really important. If it's negative, it's going to, and it already has, really impacted the way you think and how you handle things. So you need to change your self talk. What is one limiting belief you often say to yourself? Okay, and then number two, I want you to identify the origin of that limiting belief. In other words, where did that limiting belief come from? Did it come from something your grandma said? Did it come from something your mother said? Maybe if you're a guy, your mother said, "I hate your daddy and you look just like your daddy, so I hate you too." And so now you have low self-esteem. Where did this limiting belief come from? And be honest with yourself, because you're not showing this to anybody but you. So be honest with yourself, because we have to strip your mind of everything that's in it that's negative or that is self limiting. And I thought I just heard a sound when you're up late, right? And you're like, did I just hear something? Okay. But it's okay. I got a lot of dogs. So, now I want you to reflect on something. This is next. And your reflection is, what belief has been holding you back the most? So I want you to think about what belief has been holding you back the most. So it may be, maybe your belief is, in order to be successful, you're going to need some money and you don't have any money. Or maybe your belief is because you're poor and maybe don't have a lot of education, you don't have anything to contribute to society, and nobody is going to want to hear anything that you have to say. Completely untrue. Completely untrue. So I want you to figure out what belief is holding you back the most, the number one belief, the biggest one that's holding you back, that you wake up in the morning thinking about, that you go to bed at night thinking about. Okay? Next step. I want you to journal. Well, I want you to start a failure log. Okay? I want you to start a failure log. Now, you might say, well, Tish, this isn't very positive. But check it out. I want you to journal your failures. I want you to get a little notebook, and every time you have a failure, I want you to write it down. The date and what the failure was, right? So you write the date and then just write briefly what the failure was. Okay? And I want you to think of each failure as a lesson and not a loss. Think of it as a lesson and not a loss. Okay? Here's an example, just an example for, here's a personal example. A lot of time, I have a big family, we all live here. And a lot of times when people come over all the time, right? And when people come over, we have this habit of when they leave, we'll all leave out of the house and, to say goodbye to them, right? We have a habit of nobody grabs the keys. Nobody grabs the keys. Everybody piles out of the house to say goodbye to whoever was visiting, and nobody grabs the house keys, right? And my youngest child has a habit of locking the front door. And so we have found ourselves all locked out before, right? So that's a loss when you're locked out of your house. And, you've got to call a locksmith and you have to pay whatever it is that they want to charge you to get back into your own house when you know that your keys are literally on the other side of the front door, and it's really frustrating. But that's what I call, it's a lesson. It's a loss. But guess what it taught us? All of us now grab keys before we go out front to say goodbye to somebody because we've been locked out. It was very unpleasant and we don't want to repeat that. So it can be, something small, something big, but whatever it is, the point is that I'm trying to express is I learned a lesson from the experience. There was a lesson that was learned. Okay. So I want to know, there's like a little mosquito in here. So I want to know what you learn. I want you to journal your losses, the things you do that are mistakes, and then I want you to figure out what are the lessons that you learned from those losses, okay? And I want you, it's also a good way to document your growth, okay? Good way to document your growth. We're going to have to keep on moving here. And I think we're only going to do 2 more. I'll save the rest for tomorrow because I got to go. Okay, so here's something else. I want you to journal. I want you to write down, where have you noticed the most growth in yourself in the past 30 days? Where have you noticed the most growth in yourself in the past 30 days? Now, maybe you're going to go to write this down and you're going to say to yourself, oh my gosh, I haven't noticed any growth. I'm not doing anything differently. in the past 30 days. Well, that's okay. And that's one of the reasons why I'm asking the question, because it causes you to think, right? It causes you to think about, like, well, what am I doing here? Am I just, the thing is about being here on this earth, we have a limited amount of time. And if you're really young, you're not really worried about time. But trust me, what's going to happen really quickly is you're going to realize if you're not spending your time wisely right now, you're not setting yourself up for the way you want to live later. And so you want to grow. Every day, you should grow. I would say at least 1 to 2%. You should be 1 to 2% better than you were yesterday. There's something that you should have learned, and that's part of the reason why we read and study, because there should be something that you've learned, right? There's every day you should learn something new, and something that is helpful to you. Okay, not like, oh, I learned how many people, what the murder rate in Kansas was in 2024 by watching 48 hours. No, like something that is useful to you in your life application. Okay, so what have you learned? What growth have you noticed in the last 30 days in yourself? And last but not least, um, okay, here's a deep one. How do you train your mind to stay focused under pressure? How do you train your mind to stay focused under pressure? What tactics or techniques do you use when you're under pressure? What do you do? Like if you're a student, when you have a deadline, do you shut down and just not turn in the work? Or do you wait until the night before and try and cram and write a whole paper, and you're up until 4 a.m. the night before the paper is due? How do you handle pressure at work when your boss is right? How do you handle pressure? That's very important, because if you want to be successful, being successful is money loves speed. Okay, remember that. That's a really important quote. Okay, money loves speed, which means so many things. We're not even going to get into what it means right now. But just know that when you're successful, you have to make really, like, somebody just did something big upstairs. I can't tell who. But anyway, you have to make split second decisions really quickly all the time, because money loves speed and pressure is applied. The higher up you go, the further up the ladder that you go, the more money you make, the more situations you are put into, the more people you are in charge of, and you better know how to deal with pressure, because if you can't make the right decision in a split second, you can end up losing a lot of money as you become more and more successful. Or you can make a decision that can set your business back several years if you make the wrong decision. So you have to be able to be calm in a pressure situation, always. Um, for those of you, I know all of you are probably too young to remember this, but anyway, Secret used to have, I think it was Secret, deodorant used to have a mantra that said, never let them see you sweat. I think that was Secret. Y'all can correct me if anyone even listening to me is old enough to know the answer. But anyway, it was never let them see you sweat. So I mean, that was like some real deep advice from deodorant, from a deodorant company. But it's true. Never let them see you sweat. Always be able to handle pressure, and you are to be the pressure. Okay, so it's very important that you start training your mind now to be able to handle pressure. What are your pressure techniques? How do you handle? A good example is Kobe Bryant, right? So here he is with a free throw, that's going to determine the game. Okay, how does he handle it? He handled it why he practiced thousands of free throws a week. So it was just like autopilot, I can handle it's not pressure. I do this every day. I do this all day long, right? So how do you handle when you are under pressure? Really big. That's something that you need to think about, you need to analyze, and you need to come up with techniques for how you want to handle pressure. One very popular technique among successful people is regulating your breathing. And I'm not going to go into that, but you can look it up. That's really key, because it will affect your breathing, will affect your nervous system, and it will affect your heart rate. So that's really something key that you need to be able to master, is your breathing. So that's all I've got to give you. I mean, that's y'all, I be giving out some good stuff. Okay, I be giving out some good stuff. All right. For on the road to success, because there are so many steps, and people on the internet, I'm just telling you right now, a lot of times, yeah, there are people who give out really good info, but a lot of times they don't give you the broken down steps, right? So you may have this great piece of intel from somebody on the internet, but if you don't know how to baby step yourself to this level that they gave you, right? They gave you this. Great. That's a great important nugget, but you're down here. How do I get from down here to up here? And so that's what I really aim to work on helping all of you with, is how do you get from down here to up here to being successful? Not just so you have the macro pieces, but giving you the micro pieces that you need in order to build up your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth, understand what your value is, to gain more skills so that you will be more valuable and marketable in the workplace. All of those things, all of the steps to success, that is what I aim to give you all. And in fact, coming this summer, I will have a course, so you can look out for that. I have like a lot of stuff, a lot of exciting stuff about to happen. Lots of exciting stuff about to happen. But hopefully tonight this was helpful for all of you. And now I have to go. So I will see you tomorrow. I will do my very best tomorrow to have my lives on time. My live on time. Hopefully that will be a realistic goal for me for tomorrow. Okay. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye. Okay.